Everyone, I'll keep my remarks brief because I know that you didn't come here to see me speak, but you came here to see these illustrious candidates for mayor in a year that we are facing really vital choices in our city. I want to thank all of the organizations, all the volunteers that put tonight together. So Park Slope Civic Council, Brooklyn Heights Association, Bourne Hill Association, Crown Heights North Association, Fort Greene Association, Carroll Gardens Neighborhood Association, and Prospect Heights, I don't want to mangle this, the Prospect Heights Neighborhood Development Council. So a round of applause for all the groups.
Let's talk about some of the issues. Let's talk about Barclays Center. Is Barclays Center a good thing for Brooklyn?
I think it in itself is, I mean, it's a great facility that people, tens of thousands of people are flocking to now. But I think if you look at the costs have been untold numbers of people who have been essentially ousted from their homes. You have a tremendous amount of use of eminent domain, which is something that I have serious problems with. And a decade later, after all the promises of affordable housing and job creation, we have this stadium and a few popcorn vending jobs. So if you ask me, all in all, is the stadium good? Well, tens of thousands of people are going to, and the Nets are doing much better. But on the other hand, what have we gotten in terms of the huge amount of public resources that have been put into this? And I think that the promise is nowhere near met in terms of what was supposed to be delivered for the people of Brooklyn and the people of New York City.
If you were mayor, what would you have done differently?
I have called for ending many of these subsidies, if not all the subsidies that are given to major corporations and private developers, supposedly in the name of job creation and affordable housing construction. And we have seen the great majority of these cases through my audits that I've conducted, that these jobs and promises almost never materialize. Years after these major entities get huge subsidies from us, whether it be outright capital grants or tax abatements or even rezonings, which unleash a tremendous amount of public value. The promises don't get made. I have called for an end to these kinds of subsidies. I've called for
a complete end, because Mayor Bloomberg, when he ran for mayor, said, "Well, I don't believe in them either." And then when now he says it's not really.
No. I think if you look at the legal library in downtown Brooklyn, where they've been told, go to the main library, and that's where you'll be right now, I think it's outrageous. I mean, there are ways that you can work along with to be able to build new facilities, and at the same point work with the community on real development. But to be able to say to the library, goodbye, and you're not going to be here, no, I would not do that.
There was a rezoning in this area about 10 years ago where there was no inclusionary zoning. Was that a mistake?
Yes, it was. I think that we need to look at mandatory inclusionary zoning in the city of New York.
Should the city be looking at other things, for example, mandatory construction of schools in rezonings?
Well, the one thing that I've talked about over the years is something called smart growth. So if schools, infrastructure, transportation, as you look to build, you've got to make sure that the services are there for people. And we've seen all too often across the city where things are built, there's no stores, there's no transportation. It's not a whole community. So I think that needs to be part of the discussion. Also, one other thing, and you talk about inclusionary zoning, an opportunity, if you've looked at the proposals in the New York City Housing Authority that have been put forward to sell or lease land basically for 99 years and build luxury housing on that, I've opposed that also. That's an opportunity to be able to build, not luxury housing. We need affordable housing in the city of New York. It's an opportunity to build middle and moderate income housing. That is our greatest need. We control the land, we can drive costs down, we control the taxes, we can control construction costs in a lot of ways. It's a great opportunity to build more affordable.
How do you stabilize the financing? That's what the city's arguing, right? It's needed to stabilize the financing.
But moderate and middle income housing throw off revenue also. So to make believe that that's the only way that you can do this in either 80-20 or you're really pushing the envelope, something like 70-30, doesn't look at the real possibilities of middle-income housing in the city of New York. Go back and look at a Mitchell-Lama program in the late 50s and 60s. You created, you build communities. It's an opportunity to be able to build affordable housing in the city of New York. That needs to be the driving factor when we look at housing affordability.
You had a setback in a lawsuit that you filed against the city's campaign finance system. Given all that we've been seeing on corruption issues in the city, why is it a good idea to get rid of campaign finance?
Here's something that's really funny. So the reason the judge cites in this lawsuit that we will go into the weeds with, but it was over how much money anybody can contribute, whether I'm not participating in the matching funds. So I'm not taking your money to run for office. Okay? So if you don't participate in the matching funds, it used to be that if you were running for mayor, you could raise money under the state law limits. No matching funds, use the state law limits, which were in round numbers 20,000 for the primary and 40,000 for the general election. But in 2004, the city council passed a law. Even if you don't take the matching funds, you still have to abide by these limits. And I looked at the state website, and the state says you don't have to. So there was a conflict between the two. But here's...
What do you think is the thing that Mayor Bloomberg has done that you would most like to see the next mayor continue?
I think as is well known and popular with some in this crowd and less popular with others, I have been a big supporter of the livable streets work that Commission Society. And I think there are ways to be even more thoughtful about how to do inclusive planning. Actually, anybody that participated in the 4th Avenue, the 4th on 4th Avenue not only saw, that's actually, maybe I'll just end there because that to me is sort of one of the best examples of some both bottom-up and top-down planning together. It's people in this room that said we got to do something about making 4th Avenue safer. DOT said actually some of the tools we have can help. They set up a dynamite set of websites and community forums at which both their data and traffic engineering and the community's vision for how to make that street safer are coming together. We're going to see the results of it down here pretty soon. So that's what I'd like to extend. I have a longer answer to the things I'd like to change.
All right, so we'll have to wait for...
Mayors for mass transit, like Mayor Bloomberg has done on a national level with gun control. I want to do the same thing with mass transit because I believe it doesn't get the attention, political attention that it needs, and it's incredibly effective for economic development. You have to be able to move people around the city efficiently and safely, make it affordable, and it also helps air quality, and it's essential. So I'm going to make that my mission. That's part of my mass transit plan, and my total plan would create $1 billion in revenue, and 750 of that would go towards maintaining the infrastructure. 250 million of that, 1 billion, would go towards keeping the subway fare affordable. So that's my plan, and I hope you read it.
Testing. Do you think there's been too much testing in the schools?
Well, I think our school, I'm a product of the public school system. I went to PS182. You know where else I went?
No, where else?
I went to Brooklyn Tech. I worked hard to go to Brooklyn Tech. And Brooklyn Tech is responsible for part of my success. And you want to hear something, guys and gals? You want to hear? Me and Len Riggio helped raise $10 million for Brooklyn Tech from graduates. The first time, thank you, first time ever that graduates raised money for a foundation for a public high school. And after we did it, Bronx Science did it, Stuyvesant did it. Don't you think more graduates that are happy that they graduated from a high school should raise money?
If you do
What
that,
we
do you
we
risk...
maintain the standards. We have the money in the bank to build the laboratories. We even built them a DNA laboratory.
You know what I mean? And even before I was speaker, working with the community boards in my district, we always had the perspective permanent. Even if that meant we might have gotten, I'm trying to make these numbers up, 33% if it was temporary and only 28% if it was permanent, we always went for the permanence. In part, that meant some of those rezonings, developers having to put in more. In part, it meant the city having to add in subsidies to those. There are different ideas out there we're looking at now of offering property tax cap breaks if people will keep their housing permanently affordable. I will say the real estate industry had an original idea around property tax caps that was extraordinarily generous to them, with both the mayor and I rejected when they tried to get it done in legislation in Albany. But that idea of a cap, if you change the numbers to one where it's really a more break-even, so they're kind of like getting an IRA and part of their housing, not something they would make a ton of money on, is something I think we should explore. The other thing is to look at, right now, there's a proposal for the Housing Authority to take in 8 of the developments, undeveloped property, and make it market rate housing with maybe 20%. And really it's auctioning it off to the highest bidder. That's a proposal I don't support. In large part because it's not about affordable housing and it's not about permanence. Working with the Tenants Association in my district of the Elliott Chelsea houses, we did take a parking lot there with no land sale cost and developed permanent housing on that site. So you can do things like that, but you can't do it if you're going to sell it to the highest bidder.
And I think saying that Atlantic Yards was controversial is a great understatement of our time.
You think?
Yeah, I think just a little. But what I felt is, in a rapidly gentrifying neighborhood, the possibility of creating a really extraordinary amount of affordable housing, an extraordinary number of jobs, union-scale jobs for folks in surrounding neighborhoods, many of which were disadvantaged. That was the worthy goal. Government, I don't think, has done a real good job of following through on that goal, and I think the next mayor has to do that very aggressively.
Was the deal structured?